And good evening and welcome to another edition of Kearney Live. I'm Jim Dickerson along with Stacy Bratcher and Leonard Broughton. It's good to have you with us once again. And let's break right into the news. I'm supposed to tell you that Tracy Tucker once again is going to be accepting donations. I have to figure out exactly what it is. The Kearney School District's annual Back to Resource Fair features school supplies, backpacks, and gently used clothing and other community resources for students in need. The event's designed to ensure that every child in the district has the support they need to thrive through this coming school year. Tracy Tucker has volunteered her office as a drop-off location. If you need more information, go to 1027KMO.com and you can get all the information on where to drop those things off. Before we go any further, I do have some more news, but I would be remiss if I didn't say hello to Brian. How you doing, Brian?
Hi, guys. How are you?
It's good to see you today.
Good to see you, too.
Anything new for us?
You can talk about the bull ride, if you would, please.
I am going to talk about the bull ride. On July 28th and 29th at 7:30 p.m. at the Jesse James Festival Grounds in Kearney, Missouri, it's time for professional bull riding once again. If you've never been out there, this is really a pretty fun event. The other thing that you don't want to miss is the mutton busting. If you haven't seen this before, it is worth its weight in gold to go see the mutton busting. It starts at 6:30 p.m. Sign-ups at 6 p.m. at the announcer stand. $10 entry-free fee. Ticket prices at the gate is adult $10. 6 and under are free. The gates open at 5 p.m. That is Friday and Saturday, 28th and 29th, professional bull riding out at the Jesse James Festival. And the interesting thing, there is an after bull ride party at Fat Boys. We're supposed to talk about that. And all the proceeds benefit Better in the Saddle Equine Assisted Programs. So those guys do really great work out there. Make sure you go see some bull riding because that is outstanding entertainment.
It is.
Isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Have you ever seen mutton busting before?
I have.
Mutton busting before.
I have. It's super fun.
Oh, yeah,
That
those
is the
kids,
highlight
Kids
of my
love
day.
it.
Grab a hold, go.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is my favorite part. Part. You have anything else for us, Brian, other than it's 400 degrees?
It is warm.
Yeah, it is warm.
So if you get a chance, well, not if you get a chance, make sure you bring your pets inside.
Yes,
Don't leave them
please.
outside. Make
Not
sure
in
they
the
have plenty of
cars.
water. Yeah, don't leave them in the cars or anything else. Same with your kids. But let's move on. The Sound of Freedom continues to capture audiences, and the film's message has sparked some conversations about the reality of child trafficking. We'll talk about it next, coming up on Kearney Live.
There's something for everyone at the Kearney Enrichment Council. Spark Studios after-school programs at the old firehouse use STEAM-based activities to help kids learn, create, and find new hobbies and skills. The Enrichment Council supports our senior community with fun activities and necessary services at the Kearney Senior Center. All of Kearney comes out for our festivals, concerts, farmers markets, movies in the park, parades, and much more. The Kearney Enrichment Council, 106 South Jefferson Street in Kearney, 816-635-0566. Improve quality of life, find your place, build a better future in Kearney.
As you've probably heard, The Sound of Freedom has captured moviegoers nationwide, and it has leaving them feeling hopeful and inspired. The Sound of Freedom, based on the incredible true story, shines a light on even the darkest places after rescuing A young boy from human traffickers, a federal agent, learns the boy's sister is still captive and decides to embark on a dangerous mission to save her. With time running out, he quits his job and journeys deep into the Colombian jungle, putting his life on the line to free her from a fate worse than death.
It is the fastest growing international crime network that the world has ever seen.
For Homeland Security, you know we can't go off rescuing Honduran kids in Colombia.
This job tears you to pieces. And this is my one chance to put those pieces back together.
And yet somehow you have failed to bring me one real-world lead.
It's over, Tim. Close up and come back home.
So you quit your job and you go and rescue those kids.
South of that river is all rebel territory. No one goes in. What if this was your daughter?
So first of all, I'll be full disclosure. I have not seen the movie yet, although I have intended to. Stacy, I know you've seen it, and I have several questions. Number one, I know that you thought it was good because you've talked about it before. But I guess, number one, I feel like this is a true problem, a true crisis, but I don't feel like it gets the attention it deserves.
Right.
So I don't know if people are just like, if I don't talk about it, it's not happening. And then the movie itself, what'd you think of it?
The movie itself is so very well done. It tells an incredible story. It's an extremely dark story, but you walk out with hope. And so the writer did a phenomenal job taking a dark subject matter and really making it believable, making it real, and making it touch your heart. And so you have to go see it. You'll have a million emotions, that or you won't have any emotions until the very end. It's just, I've never had an experience like that. And maybe it's because you know going in that it's based on a true story. And so when you see the images that are portrayed when children are kidnapped, and it is done so quickly and so easily right under your nose, it's frightening. And I think that just that alone, but then experiencing the story of Tim Ballard and actually rescuing the two children that are the main focus of this movie, seeing that and his passion, you have to be dead to not feel a spark of something at the end of that movie. And you'll probably sit there going, what the heck am I supposed to do about this? I'm just one person. This is in Colombia. This is in, all these other countries. But no, it's right here in America. We are one of the top, if not the top, source of or consumer of this child trafficking. And it's absolutely disgusting. Right here in Kearney, we have I-35. That is a super highway for child trafficking. So we need to be very aware. There are parts of the movie that make it seem simple, like, oh, he just saw the child sitting in the car and rescued the child. It was very simplistic, but there was so much more to it that led up to that moment. But what's really cool is at the end of the movie, when it's over and the credits are running and you're just sitting there kind of thinking about it. What in the world did I just experience? Then Jim Caviezel comes on at the end and he sits there and he talks to the audience about the reality of child trafficking and what's really happening and what can we do to make a difference? And it's very simple. All we have to do is talk about it. All we have to do is tell people, go see the movie. And that's why this has ignited the way it has, because they gave you didn't just sit there and then walk away going, what am I supposed to do? They gave you the tools. And all you have to do is tell people to go see the movie.
So that brings up an interesting point, Lynn. Growing up or over the years, there's two things that always seem to just energize people. Children and like puppies, anything to do with
Children and
dogs or
animals.
whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, children and animals, and you see the dog commercials and that. This has been going on for some time. We hear about it all the time. My question to you is, why is this so controversial? I know there's a lot of people that say they don't want you to watch the movie or whatever the case may be. Why are more people not getting behind this?
Well, I think there's a lot of different avenues you can go down. And I would say during the COVID period, I started doing a lot of research on my own. And I'm so thankful for those people that work in those divisions that can go do this for a living, because I have a good friend that down in Florida, he's been doing it for 25 years. And when I started doing my own research on some, maybe you want to call them conspiracy theories, I started bouncing a lot of, I said, Chad, can I call you? And he said, yes. And so I started, asking him questions. He goes, Len, you're right on track. Just keep doing what you're doing. And so then I called him about this movie, and I said, your thoughts on Tim Ballard? He said, met him. He came down to a seminar or a workshop they had in Florida. He said he's the real deal. And he also said, but this is a bigger problem than what you're seeing in the movie.
Yes.
I guess for me, it's like, I went into that movie, it was like a roller coaster. And maybe you don't want to think of this happening to kids, because I talked to my mother-in-law about this, and I said, back when I was growing up, I remember seeing the kids' pictures on the milk cartons saying missing.
Right.
And I didn't really think much of human trafficking. Right. I thought abduction. I mean, I was young, but I don't really know what I thought when I saw that. Oh, this kid's missing, but it didn't tie me back to possibly this. But I think it's hard for us to sit back and put our minds in a spot where you think someone is a pedophile or someone is doing these things to kids. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think I'm so excited that it's done so well.
Yes.
Because it's opened up a box to hopefully you'll go to Operation Underground, or you go to Tim Tebow's foundation, or you go to Senecal. There's another one that I found that you can support their mission of what they're doing, because a lot of these guys are retired military, retired policemen, and like Tim Ballard, he walked away from his job because of the fact if it was an American child there, he couldn't be there. And when this boy kind of challenged him, like, can you find my sister? His wife said, you got to do this. This is what you got to do. So I don't know if I answered your question, but it's kind of, it's hard to imagine someone doing that to a kid. I really struggle, and there's something up there that's not right. It's a mental thing, and I just don't get it. And I walked into that movie fear because I knew the story. Like he says at the end, it took 5 years to get this movie to where it's at today. Yeah. And then they're coming out with another movie down the road because he did this again in Haiti. Tim Ballard went in, and so that's going to be the next one with Jim as playing him. But I couldn't even imagine preparing for that role.
Right.
Having to get yourself mentally in a spot where you see this, and like I said, my buddy's been doing it, and I think I can share this, but he can't tell you details because your husband working on the police force. He'll text me now and then and go say, Len, I got a girl back to her family in Texas, and he's in Florida. And I just said, I pray for you, I thank you, and I don't know how you just don't want to put your hands on someone's neck and wring them when you're hurting a little kid.
But Jim, I want to answer your question that you had for Lynn.
Yeah,
go ahead.
So there were two things that came out of that for me when I watched the movie. I knew about human trafficking, but I think it's because of my connection to my husband in law enforcement that I knew that was a thing. I doubt I would know that was a thing if I didn't have that connection. How would you know? And I was so grateful that it has never affected my family, that my children weren't taken, and, we were vigilant and things like that. But I'm going to tell you what, because my husband and I talked about this for quite a while after the movie, because I couldn't understand why does everything bad, it seems like, revolves around sex? Why does that have such a hold on people? And my husband explained to me that it's a chemical. It changes the chemicals in your brain when it is deviated from what we perceive as a normal, regular sex life. If you do things outside of the norm, it actually changes the chemicals in your brain, and you get addicted to it, and you have to keep doing it. But I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to throw the gloves down and say, if this movie doesn't affect you, you are part of the problem.
So, but that's exactly my point, is we have a news media that in theory should be talking about stuff like this.
That's
should
right.
be, I mean, this should be like, I would think top of the list of things to be concerned about, and no one says a word. And then when a movie like this comes out, instead of saying, oh, this is going on, there's all this controversy that surrounds it. And there's some things that you see at, whether it be a movie or a concept or whatever, and you think to yourself, well, no one could be against that.
Right.
And this is one of those where when it first came out, I was like, well, that'll be really interesting to see. I'll be glad to learn more about it. And the next thing you know, there's all this controversy about it. And then Lynn, we talked a little bit about it before the show, whether it's true or not, the thing with AMC theaters and the air conditioner doesn't work, and there was something else.
All not true.
Yeah, and that's where I was like, okay, well, if you have anything in any number of theaters,
something's going to go wrong in a theater.
There's going to be a theater somewhere that something happened. So I didn't.
Well, and I think one of your biggest fears is there's always a money trail, right? And if you, I think at the end, was it $520 billion business?
Yes, it's a huge.
You could sell a child 10 times. You think about selling fentanyl and marijuana, and that it's a one-time sell.
Yeah.
A dealer it's like being a dealer, and they can turn around and sell a child or a young adult 10 times at one time, and the money is just, it becomes an addiction that way too, because you're making big money. And I think there's a money trail possibly leading back to some important people that we know, and they don't want that exposure out there.
That's right.
Because it could hurt the left or the right or Hollywood or whatever you want to call. There's a trail. And what was interesting about the show was, the movie is, they showed the sex trafficking aspect, but then kind of, I don't want to ruin it for someone that hasn't seen, but like at the end, you kind of see the use of them as slave laborers. And I was like, you kind of forget about that aspect too. Yeah, they're being sex trafficked, but they're also being used for free labor, and it's I don't know. It's amazing to me that, and hopefully this will spark the interest will keep going, and it's not something that will fade away and just disappear again, because there's great organizations out there that are doing many things. And I'm actually challenged myself. I'm going to reach out to Will Aiken and say, where can I take action here in the Kansas City area? Because like we stated, and I sat down with Sheriff Aiken, and right across the street from Worlds of Fun is the hotbed. There's a drop-off, pick-off, those hotels right across the street. I'm going to share that because the fact is, you as parents need to know all the time what's going on with your child. If you drop them off at Worlds of Fun and then leave them there, no matter, there's a risk anywhere.
Yeah.
But
and I think one good point that Lynn brings up is we get a tendency to, everything is, that won't happen to me.
Right.
You get all these warnings about, don't drive into this area, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that, and you're it won't happen to me, and then it does. And this is a prime example. There's some things where, don't park there because your car is going to get broken into, and it does. Okay, it's annoying, but it's no big deal. But something like that is not recoverable, in my opinion.
Right.
But moving on, what do you have for us, Lynn?
Shoplifting continues to be a huge issue. Employees have been warned not to try to stop it. So where does that leave us? We'll take a look at that issue next on Kearney Live.
Migraine headaches, the throbbing in your temples, the pounding in your forehead, extreme sensitivity to light and sound. Your neck feels so tight it could snap off. Oh, the debilitating pain.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Strathman with Kearney Family Chiropractic Center, and I've been practicing chiropractic health in Kearney for over 22 years. When you come to see me, I identify what's wrong and determine if I can help you. If I can, I create your personalized plan for relief.
When you have pain, you can make an appointment by calling 816-628-6738, or you can visit the office at 301 South Platte Clay Way, Suite B in Kearney. Kearney Family Chiropractic Center. Heal yourself.
Simplify your banking, simplify your life. It's easy with Kearney Trust Company. Kearney Trust goes beyond convenient locations and good customer care to offer banking services that make managing your finances quicker and easier than ever before. Online, bill pay, e-statements, and mobile banking are available to give you a positive banking experience so you can get back to your life and activities. Kearney Trust also provides capital to people and businesses so they can achieve their goals. Whether you know exactly what you want or just need someone to talk to about your dream, you can speak with them and work on that dream. Kearney Trust Company is your partner for success with 2 convenient locations in Kearney at 310 West 92 Highway and 701 Watson Drive in Price Chopper. The phone is 816-628-6666. Kearney Trust Company. Banking you can trust. Member FDIC.
More reliable power means more of what you love. You expect your lights and appliances to turn on at the flip of a switch, and so does Platte Clay Electric Cooperative. That's why Platte Clay is working hard to make power more reliable in the Northland. We exist for one purpose: to empower communities and energize life with safe and reliable energy. To learn more about their plan to reduce outages across the Northland, visit www.pcec.coop/reliability. Platte Clay Electric Cooperative.
A Lowe's worker has been fired from a Georgia store for intervening in a shoplifting heist that left her with a black eye. Donna Hansbrough, 68, attempted to stop a gang of shoplifters making off with more than $2,000 worth of merchandise at her store at Rincon, Georgia. Sorry if I didn't pronounce that right. Last month. Watch this video.
It is happening more and more these days. The latest, a 68-year-old woman who worked at Lowe's for 13 years. And a pink slip wasn't enough. She also got a black eye when she tried to stop shoplifters stealing more than $2,000 worth of merchandise from the store in Georgia.
The guy decided he wanted me to let go, so he punched me. I grabbed my glasses, still held on to the cart. He punched me again and again. My fault, but I feel bad at the same time. I don't know. I'm emotionally mixed.
And in San Francisco, business owners are begging their communities to get involved and stop the crime so they don't have to. One declaring in a Wall Street Journal op-ed, San Francisco has lost its mind. The other, outraged because he got punched in the face when he tried to stop a homeless guy from urinating on his property.
I can't believe I live in a city where people can just piss in the street and come punch you in the face and get away with it. Guy just ran off. They're probably not going to find him. I'm fed up with this city. It shouldn't be this way at all. Like, this isn't how our city should be.
All right, as you saw that video, and you kind of know what's going on all around you, Stacy, so where does this leave us? I mean, stores are closing, costs are rising, we know that all around us, and no one is making any efforts to stop this. What do you think?
I won't say no one is making an effort to stop this. The Missouri Chamber is actually diligently working on this and lobbying legislation to help offset this. But yeah, some of your big store businesses aren't doing anything about it. They would rather just let people walk out with the merchandise than to go through the cost and expense of prosecuting. But what really boggles me is firing a 13-year, very good employee just because she stood up for you. That boggles my mind. I think I told you this story before. My husband and I and my children, we were all in Bed Bath & Beyond. Anyway, I think it was something like that.
Doesn't
anyway,
matter. Somewhere.
What's the store where they sell all of the candles and body scents and all that kind of stuff?
Bath
and Body Works, that one. So we were in Bath and Body Works, and we're shopping, we're picking stuff out, putting it in our little basket. And while I'm shopping, I'm oblivious to the fact that my husband is chasing around a couple of shoplifters.
Oh, wow.
And the store employees are standing there doing nothing. And so the shoplifters walk out, and my husband's like, what in the world? And they're like, we're not allowed to do anything about it. And so I said, well, so can we just walk out too? Why?
I have two questions.
That's interesting.
Did you?
No.
Oh.
No, we paid for it, but.
Yeah, so, well, little disclosure here. Many years ago, many years ago, when I actually started, I started in security at Sears.
Oh.
And I was a loss prevention person. And we had a whole camera setup, which back then was like state of the art. Now, not so much. But, we had those, remember the big bubbles that would hang from the ceiling?
Yes.
We had cameras in those. And I think we had 48 cameras, if I remember right. But it was made very clear to us that at a time, we would do 2 to 3 shoplifters a week and catch them. But the thing is, number one, everybody knew we had security in the stores, so they didn't go there. Number two, they knew that if they get caught, we were going to prosecute. That is the key, and we did. And we didn't say, oh, well, we were required for every person we caught shoplifting, we were required to go to court for that. And the word gets out on the street, much like it is now. The word is out on the street. It's a free-for-all. As an employer, I get it. I get that you don't want your employees getting hurt, especially, so they didn't, where I was, they expected the loss prevention people to go out and do that. That's what you were there for. They did not expect the floor people, the salespeople to do it.
If you have loss prevention, then that makes sense.
Correct. And I understand as an employer, a lot of them don't want their employees getting hurt. However, on the other side of that, I commend, because it's so rare, I commend employees that have the dedication to their employer or their business. In this case, this woman works for Lowe's. I'm going to go on a limb here and say she's not a stockholder, nor is she in management she may not be in management at that store. She's surely not in board management.
Right.
But yet, she has the interest in the success of her store to try and prevent this.
And her community.
Exactly. The bottom line is, here's what's going to happen thanks to this masterful thing we have going on here. Number one, I don't know if you know who pays for that stuff, but when somebody else steals it, then you pay for it. So if you see someone stealing something, you might as well say you're welcome, because you just bought what they walked out with, or part of it. Number two, what a lot of people are seeing is stores are closing. They're closing everywhere because they can't afford to keep up with the shoplifting. The expense is becoming way beyond what it is.
Yep.
I hope you like shopping online, because that's where the future's going if people don't step it up.
That's a good point.
So do you think the stores are worried about the safety of their employees? Because I would take it it's not something here in Missouri they say let them go, because I know we have different states that have now that are dropping the shoplifting, whatever the laws are, but they're saying we're not going to prosecute someone that's caught for shoplifting. So you got the videos going, because social media, we've got videos going around of these people, and we'll say California, because I think that's kind of where I've seen it. They're in the store and they just got a garbage bag.
Yeah.
And well,
that happens here. That happens here.
So I did. Yeah,
that's what. Maybe not necessarily.
It's something we don't really hear about, though, right?
But
because
it happens.
The only incident I remember is Lowe's and Liberty when the guy walked in with a gun.
Right.
But I never heard the out because he got out. He disappeared, right? I mean,
they caught him later.
They did catch him. Okay. I know my wife spent a little time working at a business there in Liberty, and they basically told her the same thing. They basically said, they've all got the mics on. So and so's in the store. We already know this person shoplifts. Let them go, and then we'll call the police.
See,
so that's kind of
health insurance premiums.
I don't know.
I
don't understand the whole.
It's a whole
meaning.
thing, and it is a perfect sociological experiment. It is perfect if you want to look it up, because what happened when I was talking about when I was doing loss prevention, if you stole a cassette tape, remember what those are?
Yes, I do.
Yes,
if
I do.
you stole a cassette, got Brian. If you stole a cassette tape, we would prosecute you. Those things, back then were $2.99 or something like that.
You still got prosecuted.
But now we keep expanding. Well, now you have to steal over 500, 900, 1,000. We're not going to prosecute. Yeah. The word gets out and everybody knows, and then they just go do it. So you've got to go back the other way, and everybody has to lock it down, or it's going to get out of control. And you say, no, it won't. It already has.
It already has.
Well, and it is kind of interesting, because I remember my wife and I think it's when we were kind of first married, we had a mall, the Sandusky Mall. We walked in and all of a sudden this girl went booking by us, and I was like, and all of a sudden I see the store people like running after her, and I went, well, maybe I should have done something, but I didn't know she was stealing, you know what I mean? Because it catches you off, like you said, your husband's chasing, but it kind of catches you off guard, because I know she had stuff on it, but she was booking, and all of a sudden around the corner here that the workers came, and they're like, no one said stop her. And so I turned and looked, and she was dodging in cars, and basically they called the police.
Do you remember the stories of, if you went to history class, what would they do in old times if they cut your hand off? And so the difference back then was when people were stealing, they were normally stealing for survival.
Right.
Like they were stealing food to live on.
Right.
But very few people did it because they knew they'd chop their hand off. People now are not stealing for survival, because the last time I checked, and I'm spitballing here, a big screen TV, although nice, doesn't require, you're going to live with, because look, you can watch Kearney live on a smaller screen, you can watch it on your computer, but people now are just stealing all sorts of stuff, and it's not for survival purposes. So we're going to have to lock it down, and I think the point, every time you go to the store and you complain why the price of something is so high, thank a shoplifter.
That's right.
So,
that's right. Yep.
Stacy, what can you talk to us about next?
Well, speaking of thanking, actually that has nothing to do with it. The Kearney School District has a levy question on the August ballot, and we're going to talk about it coming up next.
Simplify your banking, simplify your life. It's easy with Kearney Trust Company. Kearney Trust goes beyond convenient locations and good customer care to offer banking services that make managing your finances quicker and easier than ever before. Online, bill pay, e-statements, and mobile banking are available to give you a positive banking experience so you can get back to your life and activities. Kearney Trust also provides capital to people and businesses so they can achieve their goals. Whether you know exactly what you want or just need someone to talk to about your dream, you can speak with them and work on that dream. Kearney Trust Company is your partner for success with 2 convenient locations in Kearney at 310 West 92 Highway and 701 Watson Drive in Price Chopper. The phone is 816-628-6666. Kearney Trust Company. Banking you can trust. Member FDIC.
Electric cooperatives are different. We have a sense of pride in our local community and support the people who live here. That's why Platte Clay Electric Cooperative supports local schools, takes an active role in economic development, and works hard to keep costs down for its members. We exist for one purpose: to empower communities and energize life with safe and reliable energy. To learn more about how Platte Clay Electric Cooperative is working to achieve that mission, visit www.pcec.coop. Platte Clay Electric Cooperative.
You may have noticed your shoulder hurting, or maybe a kink in your neck. The culprit may be looking right at you. Your phone. Think about how you use it. Does that pain feel familiar to you?
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Strathman with Kearney Family Chiropractic Center, and I've been practicing chiropractic health in Kearney for over 22 years. When you come to see me, I identify what's wrong and determine if I can help you. If I can, I create your personalized plan for relief.
When you have pain, you can make an appointment by calling 816-628-6738, or you can visit the office at 301 South Platte Clay Way, Suite B in Kearney. Kearney Family Chiropractic Center. Heal yourself.
Welcome back to Kearney Live. In the fall of 2022, the Kearney School District engaged in a strategic planning process with the support and input of staff members, students, parents and guardians, and community members. The highest priorities that were identified by our constituents during that process were to increase safety and security and to prioritize all employees by increasing compensation and benefits. Kearney School District's Board of Education placed a proposed 45-cent property tax increase on the August 8, 2023 ballot to address those objectives. We anticipate that this would raise an additional $2.2 million in revenue.
Proposition S is a ballot initiative that will raise our operating levy by 45 cents per $100 of assessed valuation. If approved, the additional revenue, approximately $2.2 million, will be used to help address two priorities: enhancing our safety and security team and increasing staff compensation. If Proposition S is approved, the 45-cent increase will equal $214 more per year in property taxes for the owner of a residential property worth $250,000. KSD has one school resource officer for 9 schools. A portion of the Prop S levy increase would be used to add up to 3 additional safety and security team members. One of these strategic priorities created by our community members is to prioritize all employees by increasing compensation and benefits to rank no lower than 5 out of 12 peer districts by 2025. If Prop S is approved on August 8th, the additional revenue will also be used to increase compensation for our teachers and other employees.
Sorry, that was my fault.
Thank you, Jim. So Lynn, you're up close and personal with this. It's obviously, if it passes, is going to raise people's property taxes in the school district. What would you like to say to our residents?
I just want people to know, when I was elected in as a school board member, that is one thing. If you can look back at the last 2 years that I've been running, I was very passionate about our students, for number one, and safety. I don't think you can put a price tag on safety. Yeah. And then safety of your staff that's working in the buildings. And we have one guy, Officer Kirkland, who's been doing this. He is starting his 10th year. Oh, wow. And so we have one guy that's monitoring 9 buildings, if we consider early childhood, into those buildings. And there's a bunch of stats, there's a bunch of things that you can find that we are starting to post, and I know Brian's going to share some of these that you can find on the Kearney School Board website, or you can find on our Kearney Voters on Target for Education Facebook page. We're starting to blast this stuff out there so people can see why we need this, because there's no hidden agenda behind this money. 2.2 million. 2 million is going to go to staff, and that is not just teachers, because everyone that has a part in that child's education, when it comes to secretaries, cafeteria workers, whoever, counselors, you can name all the people that are working in that building. That $2 million, hopefully we're going to come up with a way that we can structure that where everyone's they're going to get a bump in pay, because they need that, because there are graphs showing where Kearney stands in this community and when they in this area, and when they did the strategic planning, which I appreciate Dr. Miller doing this plan is you set goals. It's a 2022 to 2027, and I'm going to read this because it's on the plan. Objective 4.1, employees increase of compensation and benefits to rank no lower than 5 out of 12 of the peer district by 2025. And this doesn't even, it's going to just put a little dent in that. And so our goal is to get our teachers up, because if you look at the 12 schools in our district, we're down at the bottom, right? And a lot of people want to compare us to Liberty, and that is a hard thing to do because of the corporation and industry they have and the tax dollars that they have coming in there. So you cannot compare us to Liberty, I'm sorry. But safety, to me, is one thing. Like I stated, Officer Kirkland does a phenomenal job. One guy, when it takes him 10 minutes to get from one building to another, that's a problem, right? And the opportunity of adding 3 more SROs, right? We're not talking about security guys. We're talking about armed safety folks that are school resource officers that are going to be there to protect the staff and the students. And I don't think there's no price tag on that. And the issue is, like we talked about many times on this show, teaching right now is in high demand because of they can't find workers. So other school districts are willing to pay a teacher or even a secretary $10,000 more to come to their school. We've got to be competitive because, we preach excellent education here. I know Stacy does a phenomenal job with, through the chamber of supporting local business. If we don't want industry and corporation here, we've got to step up as a community and support our schools. And that's why I am so passionate about this, because that is one thing I've kind of preached for the last 2 years we need to make sure our teachers / staff, because it's more than just teachers, are compensated, and we need to also make sure they're safe.
Okay, but I'm going to play devil's advocate for just a minute. But we just passed we just increased our taxes just not too long ago to give you money for buildings.
No, you didn't. The bond is totally different. And that's one thing and that's a great point, because a lot of people have been nailing me with that question.
That's right.
Brian just put that up there. A bond was a no tax increase, and that is only used for maintenance of buildings and building new buildings. And I applaud Dr. Miller when she came to me when I first came on the board, and we put a pause to that new building because we did not see the growth that's going to happen in the next 8 to 10 years. So we put a pause on that building, and now we're taking that money and applying it to our buildings to make sure all our buildings are up to code and do expansion to Kearney Elementary and Hawthorne to be able to make sure we supply what we need in the classroom for the sizes of our buildings and students that we have in there. So that is the thing people need to understand, is your taxes were not raised here. And here's the funny thing. I had asked the question. I moved here in 2011, March of 2011. The last time Kearney put a levy on like this was February of 2011. So there has not been a tax increase with schools in this aspect since 2011.
Interesting.
So I'll play devil's advocate.
Okay, Jim.
Actually, I'm going to look at it from a little different angle. And this is why I think if you go to the last story, everything that we're going through right now affects everything else. It seems like every time we turn around, we're getting hit with tax for this, tax for that, tax for this, tax for that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are starting to really question, where are my tax dollars going? Which makes it so much harder for you guys when you're trying to do something that I think is actually very worthwhile. Teachers' compensation obviously needs to be better, because we need to get the best teachers humanly possible.
We need them to stay.
And we need them to stay.
Yeah.
We need to get our kids the best education we can. It costs money, and I am a 100% proponent of the school resource officers, not just security people,
Right.
school resource officers. That said, it makes it so much more challenging, in my opinion, when every citizen of any community is being squeezed to death at every turn, and part of it is of our own doing. And when I say our, the government, it's of our own doing because we just did a story about shoplifting. The price of everything is going up.
That's right.
Those dollars that you're paying extra money for could be going to the school district. And when you go out to try and pass a levy or a bond or whatever the case may be,
Right.
it is a much tougher sell when I can't, when I'm living paycheck to paycheck, and then you hit me again and
That's
say,
right.
oh, and now I need to take just a little bit more. Very tough sell.
Very hard.
That is why all the stuff that we've talked about, in my opinion, is so critical. Could you imagine where we would be if everything were so much less expensive because, I don't know, people weren't stealing everything? And then, when you guys came out with the new thing for the school district, everybody was like, yep, no question, no problem whatsoever.
Right.
That said, the Kearney school, and I asked you about this and I can't remember the answer. The Kearney school district is still in the top.
We're in the top 2 to 3 within the area for all test scores. So our teachers are doing their jobs, right? But my thing is we got to make sure we keep them here. We want to preach, and that is in our mission statement, an excellent education, but we need to keep these teachers here so we can continue to strive to do that. And I just look out there and say, give us a chance. I know maybe you've heard that before, but Dr. Miller's only been here a year. I am new to the board. Folks, if you followed me on any of my campaign stuff, you know who I am. 419-366-9646. You can text me or call me. Whoa. I am willing to discuss. If you have any questions, that's the thing. We have so many different things being thrown out there. Jim's texting me now. He's texting me now. But I'm saying that's how passionate I am about this. And we have a question. You can send an email to our Facebook page there. Like I shared the Kearney votes. I want to make sure I say this right. Kearney voters on target for education. We have an email address there. And Ray Weichel, Dr. Miller have done a phenomenal job getting these graphs together, Ray just did a whole thing of 20 frequent asked questions, and I'm starting to share that on my Facebook page. Look me up on Facebook because I am sharing this stuff. I'm not afraid to talk about it. I just ask you to hear me out. I'm going to hear you out. Just please give me your respect to hear me out, because I know this can be a touchy thing when you're talking about your taxes being raised, and they have graphs for every different price range that you're in, the value of your home. We need this here, Kearney, and we want to promote and say that we have excellent schools. Well, we need to back it, because I think there was one graph there that says how it was the one that says how our public school funding's the community. And if you look at it, it's like federal's 3%, state's 31%, the county is 2%, local 64%. That's what makes a school district run. And it's tough because, and I know one of the questions were, in April, we're going to have the pool thing coming on, right?
The community
so
pool.
it's tough. I know a lot of homeowners are kind of like, well, what do I do? There's a lot of questions. All I just ask is you just to go to the Kearney website and the Kearney School District website, look up the information. If you have a question, reach out to me. I'm willing to talk, and I'm sure any other board member willing to talk. I'm not going to give you their numbers, but I'm sure they're willing to talk to you. But I'm honest. You can reach out to me, and I'm willing to try to answer your questions. And if I change your mind, great. If I don't, great. I can agree to disagree. I get it. Everyone's situation is different.
That's right.
But I'm in this seat, and I thank you guys for allowing me to be in this seat. I have a passion for it. I have a passion for this community. I have a passion for these kids.
And I will say, too, I hear people from time to time say, well, I'm not going to vote for that because I don't have kids. The fact of the matter is, and this is the old person in me talking, these kids are the ones that are going to come up and start running everything. And we need the best, highest quality, best educated kids that we can have in our system. So keep that in mind as you look at these things. We need to keep Kearney number one.
I believe that children are our future.
There's a song. We're going to sing about it when we come back. Stay with us. Final thoughts are up next.
Explore a place to visit. Explore knowledge. Explore fun. Explore relaxation. Explore adventure. Explore a hometown. Explore Kearney, Missouri.
And welcome back to Kearney Live. It's time for our final thoughts. The winning for the first draw goes to Stacy this week.
Well, before I get to my final thought, I want to do a real quick shout out to one of Kearney Live's biggest fans, Wyatt Fletcher. Hey, good to see you, Wyatt. Thanks for watching. So we talked earlier about The Sound of Freedom. I want to invite you to go watch the movie, and if you can't afford it, there is an option for you. Angel Studios has a Pay It Forward campaign where you can buy tickets for others to see the movie. Visit angel.com/free tickets. Angel.com/free tickets. You can claim your free tickets. You can pay it forward and buy tickets for someone else. You can even get show times for all of the theaters in our area. So if you're wondering, where can I go see it? Go to angel.com/free tickets and you can find all the details there.
Nice.
Outstanding. Leonard?
Thursday, 6 to 7, just the thing kind of talked about. We talked about the Prop S levy. We are going to have an open house at the high school. I will be there. I'm sure other board members will be there. Dr. Miller will be there. Ray Wyko will be there. And there will be other administration members there. It's not going to be you're going to sit there and listen to us. We're going to have just basically answer your questions and try to make sure people understand what we're going to do and hopefully pass when we pass it in April. I won't say hopefully. Hopefully Kearney steps up and we pass this in April or August.
August.
I always say April, I'm sorry.
August. I was going to say, if it's April, you missed it. As a lot of you know, I was in Oshkosh and New Holstein over the weekend as part of the biggest fly-in in the country. Just got back from that, but I wanted to talk just for a second because a good friend of mine up there, a lot of people ask about learning to fly and flight instruction and all that sort of thing. Good friend of mine wrote this book. I'm going to do the old Johnny Carson where you put it out on the, you guys remember when he did that?
Can't see it.
It doesn't work on that. So it's over there. Anyway, I think there's a graphic of it. There it is. Fly to Live or Live to Fly is a live inspirational book that highlights how learning is a lifelong pursuit. David Consbrook, a certified flight instructor, shows you what the mindset is and how it actually works. The book provides a roadmap for reclaiming agency over desired outcomes in life and a whole bunch of other stuff. It's a really great book. If you're like me and you don't read that much, it's not that thick. So you can get through it. But it's a great book. It's available on Amazon. It's also available on the Friends of New Holstein Airport website. It will be. I don't think it's up there yet, but it will be shortly. Go check it out. It's a great book. And thanks to David for that. He actually gave me a copy and signed it. So I have that right here. But anyway, thanks for that. Be sure to check that out on Amazon or I think it's phoneha.org. In fact, I know it is. Phoneha. Friends of New Holstein Airport. Phoneha. Don't forget it. Anyway, thanks for joining us on Kearney Live. We'll be here next week at 5 o'clock as every Wednesday, or you can catch the rerun on Saturday at 11. And I know there's some of you that were rooting for me on that because I always forget what time the rerun is. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week on Kearney Live.